The idea behind this webinar, as Teresa already introduced, was to talk about FinOps from a more, let's say, strategic angle. Very often, in fact, I see that projects have a cost-centered idea of FinOps, and that could be risky. I would even say that all the projects I've been working with here in the Nordics start as a response to growing cloud bills. Like an organization observes that costs are growing month over month, and they think, oh no, we need to do something. Let's introduce FinOps. And if FinOps is introduced without any concrete strategy behind it and just keeps the focus on cost, then the impact can get less and less over time and close to none pretty soon. But let's see why, and let's see what to do about it, and what would be a better approach to FinOps. So it is in principle true that cost is a key area of FinOps. In fact, two of the FinOps domain are around cost control or cost optimization. We are presented with this simple formula: cost is equal usage by rate. And if you can control usage or rate, then in principle you can control costs. Of course, under the assumption that all the people involved in this discussion understand cloud usage and cost, which is not necessarily something you can take for granted when you start a FinOps project. FinOps is a way to control a distributed procurement system in which everyone who is able to deploy, provision a resource in the cloud is a buyer. So instead of having a traditional centralized, let's say, procurement department, buying department, you have tens, hundreds, sometimes even more of buyers spread everywhere in the organization, even geographically. How do you control that? So understanding this, that everybody who is able to deploy and provision a resource is a buyer, is one of the key points in understanding cloud usage and cost. And another point that is a fundamental takeaway is that in the cloud, you pay for whatever you provision, whether you use it or not, which is a risk in case you forget it on, but it is also an advantage because cloud, the main property of cloud is its elasticity. So you can deploy, provision resources and then take them down when you don't need them anymore, or you can scale them up or out depending on the usage pattern of the consumer or the application you are using. But going back to cost, in a cost-centered approach, people focus on taking down cost, controlling cost, sometimes even giving figures. We need to take costs down by 20%, but what does that mean? And to which extent you can really control usage and rate? If you work in this kind of project, you understand pretty soon that the problem is not really usage or rate, not even cost, but the problem is control. Once the FinOps team is able to implement all the actions that can be taken centrally, for example, the reservations, some form of waste removal, pooling of databases, the impact of FinOps gets low. And in 1 quarter, 1/2 maximum, you get kind of stuck. You end up doing always the same thing, and you can't really reach out to the owners of resources at the edge of the organization who might benefit from some advice. So how do you get the owner of resources at the edge of the organization? How do you make them implement any advice related to FinOps? Let's make some example. If you work, for example, one of the recent projects I've been working with, I noticed that the majority of a certain type of resource was deployed using premium performances. And it was very interesting. Like, how come everybody that is using this type of service needs premium performances? Then I investigated a little bit more, and I saw that these premium resources were deployed also in testing environments, in quality and assurance environments, and not just in production. How do I make sure that people that are deploying these resources in testing take them down? So this decentralized action become quite complicated. Like, the control of this decentralized action become the real problem, not rather the cost and therefore the usage and rate. A typical reactive approach, the second reaction that you have to cost, is to say, well, let's escalate, let's have management support our work. But then what happens is that the answer we get is, well, this is not done by mistake. We need it the way we built it. We need to have premium performances because, I don't know, our testing environment needs to mirror production, and everything is so risky here. The system is so fundamental for our customers or for the company. We can't do anything about it. Or you guys in FinOps or management take the responsibility. And obviously, we get to an impasse. No decision is taken. No one want to take the risk. And it's like on the two sides of this wall, we are talking two different languages. On the left side, we are talking about cost because the focus is on cost. And on the right side, we are talking about tech, infrastructure, and risk related to modifying that infrastructure. So if you get to this point, you can pretty much say that your FinOps has failed. And I would even wonder if that is FinOps. The answer is no, that is not FinOps. It's just a very reactive form of cost control. And what you see in your cloud bill is the cost of the complexity of the organization rather than the cost of cloud. If you are in that situation, you are not really seeing any benefit that cloud is creating. No, we do all these sessions with we go to conferences, we do internal session in which we say that we want to use cloud as an enabler for value, for innovation, but then how do we measure this impact that cloud has? We just get a bill and we know that cloud is expensive, and in the end, that number, that standalone number, the cost gets even compared to equivalent on-prem solutions. And in that case, well, cloud end up sitting in the weakness quadrant of a SWOT analysis. You're not using it to really address any opportunity in the market, let alone mitigating any threats. It just become like something you pay operationally every month.